So it's Monday afternoon. Just got back in from the office, checked on my white sapote seeds to see how they're going, and happily they've all come up. Well, the ones that have been husked have come up anyway, and I'll show you them in just a moment. They're all down here to show you how much they've grown in the last just over 2 weeks. So my white sapote seeds have started to pop up, which is really nice. It's been just over 2 weeks and they poked their head up out of the soil about 12 days after I planted them. Now each of the soils have built up a little bit of mold on the surface. I don't know if you can see that there. Bit of mold on the surface, but that doesn't seem to have bothered them. All 4 of the ones that I husked have come up, which is really good. The ones that weren't husked, for instance, you can see the top of that one in there. That one has not even started. Oh no, they look like they've broken through too, but they're a little bit behind. I don't know if you can see at the base of this little touch of green just around the edge there where it's sent a shoot into the soil. So that's a really good sign that the ones that are also husked, with their husks remaining on, are also going to come up. But these have come up nicely. So we have baby little white sapotes on the way. So it looks like when I took the husk off these and I damaged them a little bit, it didn't make any difference to the plant. It didn't hurt the plant at all. It's really good. So looks like definitively taking the shells off of the white sapote seeds is the way to go. But I also want to check up on the Cherimoya seeds that I've done. Now I'm hoping that some of these have gone and germinated. We're going to do what I did before, chuck all of this in a container here, and if they have germinated, which I hope they have, we will then pot all of those up this afternoon. It's going to be very cold over the next few days. Not cold minimums, but cold maximums. There's a big polar front coming through. That's going to drop the temperatures into low daytime temperatures with some rain accompanying as well. So we might even see some snow on tomorrow afternoon or Wednesday. We don't usually get snow in Canberra, and if we do, it kind of drizzles down in kind of messy tiny flakes that just turn brown instantly. Any of you that have been to Canberra might have been to the city where you've seen there's some signs up that show when there was a time that they built snowmen in the city, and there's enough snow in Canberra for that to happen. And I've never seen that in the 15 odd years that I've been here. The most I've ever seen is a tiny amount of snow. Now I've gone through 3 seeds already which haven't germinated, but here in my hand is the first germinated Cherimoya seed. Now that looks really fragile, really fragile. So what I'm going to do with this, I have pots prepared already just in case these were prepared, and this is a mixture of what I plant all my plants up into. It's a homemade potting mix. There's a few key ingredients in there. I have all sorts of stuff in there, and I'll go over that potentially in another video. But the goal of the potting mixes that I put together are to be free draining, to have lots and lots of space between the media so that water doesn't kind of pool in there and drown our seeds. I put a little bit of nutrition in there, but it's largely inert. It's largely bark and other similar type things, but at the same time I didn't want it to be totally void of nutrients, which some of these potting mediums can be, especially the ones that you find online. So we'll go through that potentially in another video, but for now all I'm going to do is get our little germinated seed. I'm going to place it straight on top of that soil there, and I left potting mix behind me, so we'll get the potting mix as we need it, as I need it in a few minutes once we go through the rest of my seeds. So that's 1 in 4 germinated so far. I think I only had 7 in there from memory from the last video. I will say that one though, the tail on it looked quite weak. Here's another one that's germinated. So if you can see that, that's got a tail coming out of the seed there, so it's another really good sign. This one looks a little bit firmer than that one I just had. So number 2, straight into the pot. I'm literally just putting it straight on top. I'm not pressing it in or anything because I'm going to put a layer of actual potting mix on top of that as well. So that's 5 that I've found. I think we had 7, so let's find the last 2 that's in here. Cherimoya is germinating, that's exciting. That pleases me greatly. Another seed, this one is very round, hasn't germinated. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so there should be one more, unless I missed one last time, which is possible. Aha. Another one here, and this one here has something stuck to the end here. This one might have germinated. This one has some sort of growthy looking thing on the end here, which could be just potting soil attached to it. It doesn't look like a root. It is possible that it's a root that's actually started to rot. Which I actually think that might be the case. I think this might have germinated and then rotted, because if that's a root, which I think it is, that is not healthy at all. So the roots should be similar to this one here, should be nice and white, fresh and clean looking, whereas this kind of looks like it's a protrusion from the end, but it looks kind of sick and sad and rotted. So I would not be surprised if that seed germinated and then instantly started to rot. It might mean the vermiculite that I'm using is a little bit too wet, and I did add extra water to this the other day. It is definitely damper than when, oh yes, look at that. That's annoying. So maybe when I added some extra water to this, I added a little bit too much. When we do these, germinate these seeds in these potting mix, it really should be just damp to touch. We shouldn't be having water being able to wring out, at least not in those sort of quantities. In general, the wetter your soil mix is, the more chance that your seeds will rot, like I think that one has done. Alright, so I think that's all of my seeds, so I think I'm going to call that one a goner. The rest don't look to have germinated. So what I'm going to do is put them back in here again, but before I do that, I'm going to wring out some of the water that's in this mix, so that if and when those other ones germinate, they don't have as much moisture in there to kind of rot. Look at all this water. It's a good lesson for everybody here. This really is not ideal. Probably cost me that seed, and I'm probably very lucky that those other 2, oops, that I checked them today. See me squirt my water back into the bag. That was smart. Lucky that I checked it today and didn't leave it for another few days, because those other 2 could have rotted as well. And in fact, come to think of it, now that I am thinking of it, this other one that's germinated doesn't look that healthy, does it? Not at all. In fact, I would say that the tip of that plant, and I don't know if this camera is focusing, the tip of that seed seems to be brown and limp. Yeah, look at that. I would actually say that even though this is germinated, it's probably a goner as well. Bugger. This one here is nice and safe. The ones that I'm going to put back into here in the now squeezed out soil medium, I hope that these are going to be fine. But I think we've lost 2 seeds today. Rest in peace. Right, they're going to go back inside. In the meantime, I'm going to get my soil mixture to put on top of these 2 seeds, and they'll go back into the warm house with these white sapote. Now I don't think it's going to be very interesting watching me put a layer of soil on top. I'm just going to get, you can watch me do it. I'll be back. Okay, I'm back. Potting mix. It's just an ordinary blend, and I don't want to get this in my pants. I don't know if you just saw that, but I just busted open my pants, so that's always fun. Too much wine. Gardening in my work clothes. I do this far too often and I never learn. Alright, so I'm just going to put an inch on top of this. And it's literally just to cover the seed up. And the only reason I'm putting this on instead of the other potting mix is because this is much finer. It's easier for the shoots to come through at the top, whereas the mixture that they're going to send their roots into, it's going to hold a little bit moisture, it's got a little bit more nutrients, it's a much more porous medium, it's much more long-term suitable for the plants. These all-purpose potting mixes, they break down over time, because if you fill the entire pot with this, it would likely become a slushy mess in the next 12 months. Whereas the potting mix that I've got at the base of this is going to be good to go for at least 18 months, 2 years, maybe more, when I do transplant them, and they'll go into a mix that's very, very similar to this, so that will mean that they won't suffer too much transplant shock once they're older plants, because at the moment it's a brand new seedling. It doesn't really know the world very well. It's going to send that taproot down there, and it's going to hopefully grow into a healthy plant. Now we'll check on the other seeds that I've got, seeing as though we've had some germination. I think we'll check on them in 3 to 4 days. We've got a lot of rain predicted, so maybe once the rain clears I'll bring them outside again, and we can have a look at how they're going. In the meantime, white sapote all coming up, so they look excellent. 1 seed germinated, so at least hopefully we'll have 1 Cherimoya, and I'll see you guys again the next time I decide I have something worthwhile to film. And in fact, I do have something worthwhile to film just here for another video. This dead plant is a yacon, and I've never grown yacon before, but the frost has killed it, which is what I've been waiting for, which means that under the ground here there will be some tubers that are ready to be plucked and tried for the first time. So I'm very excited to try these yacon. I've got them growing in pots, so I've seen some videos online of yacon growing in the ground and how big those tubers get, but I want to see if they were feasible in pots, how big they're going to get, how many tubers I'm going to get, and what they taste like, and I'll put that together in another video, but probably not for a few days because it's going to rain quite heavily from tomorrow, and I just don't have time. I've got a lot of appointments in the next week, so I find trouble getting time to put these videos together, especially in the sales season that we're in now, for real estate at least, which is making me run around like a headless chook. Alright guys, thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.